is perimenopause? How long is this supposed to last, right? If you're somebody who's in this phase where you're noticing a shift and change in your hormone and you're thinking, okay, I know what's happening here. How long is this ride before I get off, right? Okay, I am Dr. Beth Westy, women's health and hormone expert, author of the books, The Female Fat Solution and The Female Menopause Solution. I'm also host of the podcast, The Female Health Solution. You can subscribe to that and subscribe to my channel here to stay updated on all the things that I have coming out. Now, when we talk about things like perimenopause and overall length of perimenopause, there are several different factors to look into first, right? One of them can be, I'll just say genetics, This is a factor where, and this isn't always right, but just to give a context of, a time frame to look at for you. Look at your mother, aunts, grandmothers, cousins, things like that. Other females in your family that have gone through menopause, about what age were they? Were they 54, 55 when that happened for them? Or were they 45? That's a big range. That can give you sort of a time frame to go off of. For example, say you were oh yeah, my mom went through menopause at 50. And I know my aunts, and my grandma, I think they're all around that same age, around 50, 52, maybe. Okay. That can give you a time frame. That doesn't mean that exactly at that time you would have that happen as well, because they will have their own life experiences that impact that also. Certain things like methylation, hormone processing go into that genetic factor, which is a whole other thing, but just so you know that that's some of the background on why this can be a factor for a lot of gals. Then we're gonna look at things like lifestyle, right? Lifestyle. Now, lifestyle factors include your nutrition, your exercise, and overall, I don't want to say fitness level, but are you somebody who's just been overall somewhat active? This doesn't mean you have to go to CrossFit 6 days a week. Do you go for a walk for 30 minutes every other day versus doing no activity at all, right? That's really the difference maker. Are you having some type of activity? Some type of, regulated activity overall. That's important. So your overall nutrition, overall exercise, and then we're going to put here sleep and stress. These factors are vitally important for how your system would be impacted and when and how long it can last through perimenopause. Perimenopause is that lowering of estrogen and progesterone that takes you to postmenopause. Now, this is a normal process that half the population goes through at some point in their life, right? The natural process that happens to you. Great. Now, when we look at this and going through this, one of the reasons that we really dive into this, especially when we're looking at the Female Hormone Solution program, while we walk you through this is to really help figure out, okay, some of this background information we can chat about, but how can we change these things for you specifically so that you get and keep the right result overall? That's the biggest secret. How can we help direct your nutrition, your exercise routine, how you sleep, your stress response? And if you're wondering, how do I know what my stress response is? We look at your Dutch test. So everything is customized to you specifically. But these things will severely impact when you go into perimenopause and how terrible it can be for you, right? How terrible it can be. If you are somebody who says, gosh, yeah, I've had a crap ton of stress, then that can impact going into perimenopause earlier. You can have a harder time with it. It can last longer for you. Versus somebody who says, you know what, yeah, I've had a tough time. I've been through some things in my life. I've dealt with, things that are very stressful, by the way, birth, death, marriage, divorce, moving, job change, and especially going through a lot of those big changes in a short period of time and not having a good support system around it. That's really the biggest thing. If somebody says, yeah, I've had people, I've had some deaths in the family and, over the past 10 years, yes, I've had some deaths in the family. There were some other big life changes that happened, but they were spaced apart and I had a good network. Your body's going to respond better going through that process then, versus somebody who didn't have that support. So that can mean that perimenopause onsets earlier. So again, using the example of, oh, it's 50, you know, maybe it'll be 47 or 48 for you then, right? And maybe it'll last longer or just to be a lot tougher overall. The other thing that I'm going to write down here that can impact this is your gut health, as well as any other factors like, do you have PCOS or endometriosis or thyroid issues, things like that. These things will impact perimenopause and how your body processes through it. Again, we look at Dutch tests and then give you specific recommendations working through this program, which you can go below this video, click that link, get on the wait list. And if you have questions on any of this, you can either send me a private message, an email, or just comment below. I do check the comments and make sure that I'm answering questions as I get them. But those are going to be the things that really, really impact perimenopause. But ultimately, perimenopause can last anywhere from 1 to 10 years. Now, perimenopause officially would be 1 full year without having a period, without having a cycle happen, right? Okay. So there are some gals that, yep, their period just stops. Maybe it lightens a little bit, starts to be a little irregular for a few months, and then it just stops. Great. There you go. But some gals, they start having very irregular periods. They start getting a lot heavier. They have a lot of problems with them. They have more mood swings, and they have all these other symptoms associated as they're going into perimenopause. And a lot of times it's told, oh, it's normal. It's not normal. Just because it's common doesn't mean it's normal. And if we're working with all these other systems in your body, we can improve how your body is processing those hormones, making that transition a heck of a lot easier. So that's what we do when we work together. Go below this video, click that link, and then let me know if you need anything else.